Welcome to Cardinals Cover 2 with Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Cardinals Cover 2 is brought to you by Arizona Cardinals Podcasts. Visit azcardinals.com/podcasts. From Cardinals headquarters, here's Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki.
Well, we've reached the end of the week, and more importantly, it's a Football Friday, the first official Football Friday of the 2018 season. We can say that because the Cardinals have been treating this week like a regular season week since Sunday in Dallas. Third preseason game, it's the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and according to Steve Wilkes, it's a fast Friday.
Well, guys were fast out of the locker room as well, making sure that they were able to get out of here and then come back on Saturday to fly out to Big D. But the Cardinals and Cowboys kicking off Sunday Night Football, by the way. It's national television audience, and be the only game going on.
That is right, and they'll have a quick turnaround. They'll get home sometime in the wee hours of Sunday night, Monday morning, and then they'll obviously play the Denver Broncos at home on Thursday. So this is a big game for a lot of guys, but we know that ultimately the back end of the roster, it's going to be decided in the next two preseason games.
And it just means we're getting ever so closer to week one of the regular season. Of course, Cards Cover 2, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m., live, interactive, multimedia. We'll get into your questions, your comments via social media a little bit later on. Still an opportunity to get those questions in using the hashtag CardsCover2. That's hashtag CardsCover2 using the number 2. All right, let's take off. And here is what's ahead on the show today. We'll be joined by rookie center Mason Cole right here in studio. Of course, discuss the impact not only him, but the entire 2018 Cardinals rookie draft class was expected to have this season. You don't want to miss Larry Fitzgerald impersonation. That's right, we had a fake Fitz here this week in the locker room. And once again, the Big Red Vault opens to a previous Cardinals-Cowboys matchup. But the news of the day, and by the way, happy birthday to linebacker Josh Bynes, turns 29 on this Friday. That is not the top story. The top story is, good news, Josh Rosen back on the field, back at practice. He missed Wednesday, appeared to be limited on Thursday, but was seen throwing the football on Friday today. So perhaps, maybe we get to see him on Sunday. Let's hear from the head coach, Steve Wilkes, with an update on his rookie quarterback.
Josh is still day-to-day, game time decision, and he was out there today, did some good things, but we're going to wait and see how he really feels right before the game.
What do you need to see before you know?
Well, just how, he's throwing the football, how he's able to grip it consistently, those kind of things. So just want to make sure that I'm giving him every opportunity to go out there and be successful.
And let's hope, MJ, that he is on the field on Sunday because, again, if Sam Bradford is healthy here this season, this game, Sunday, and maybe if he plays Thursday, that's a big question mark. These could be the final snaps, for all intents and purposes, for Rosen here in 2018.
Yes, and I think it's important now.
Or I should say meaningful snaps.
Right. I think it's important just because it's the last tune-up. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see him in that fourth preseason game. I mean, he's one play away from getting into an actual NFL game when the season starts, so we could see Glennon and Knopf in that final fourth preseason game. I think we're going to see Glennon and the rookie quarterback Knopf in the probably the second half. But I just think it's important for him to go out there and get some more reps because at some point they're going to need him, whether it's a play, whether it's a possession, whether it's to finish a game, whether it's to start the following week. So these are valuable reps for a guy like Josh Rosen.
4 guys have been ruled out for Sunday, including the 3 defensive linemen that have basically missed all of practice this week. And those 3 would be Robert Kimdichie, Corey Peters, and Olsen Pierre. The 4th player is cornerback Jonathan Moxey, but certainly defensive tackle is now all of a sudden someone perhaps can step up, step in, and flash on film.
Yeah, and that's an area where, again, they like the 8 guys once they get a decision on who's playing opposite of Chandler Jones until Marcus Golden returns. And then inside, I mean, Kimdichie and Peters and Pierre, they're being cautious with these guys. And the main thing is get ready for the opener. But for the most part, there are some, jobs available when you look at the opposite of Chandler Jones. And it could come down to a couple of guys. And so, and I'm curious to see where Arthur Motes is in the mix here because not only can he play on the outside, He can also play in the inside, and obviously, Edmund Robinson playing inside, Dennis Gardeck playing inside. I do think they're going to miss Jeremy Cash just because he played for Wilkes in the past. So there's some, and again, I do think the Cardinals are going to be active at the waiver wire once we get to the first cut down.
And I'm glad you mentioned that those injuries, at least with Kimdichie, Peters, and Pierre, are not expected to be serious. In fact, Peters was asked about it on Thursday and says, no, I'll be ready for week 1 of the regular season. So that is good news. Cardinals making news off the field as well. And this is actually was a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't see this one coming, but center A.Q. Shipley was signed to a 1-year contract extension. So not only is he signed for the rest of this season, but through 2019, he was headed towards free agency and currently on injured reserve after tearing the ACL in his knee during the red-white practice, underwent surgery August 9th, and now all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, the Cardinals give him a contract extension. Coach Wilkes asked about that news earlier today.
Well, number one, this didn't come off his injury. This is something that Steve Keim and I talked about in the spring, and he's a major part of what we were doing at the time. He's a leader in that room. I still consider him to be a leader in that room. His presence and value being around is going to only enhance and help Mason out, which I think is important. And as an organization, we wanted to do the right thing.
I'll tell you what, a classy move by the organization. Obviously, they have his replacement. There's a reason why they drafted Mason Cole in the 3rd round. But, he's a guy that can play multiple positions. He is a great leader. He's been the most consistent lineman over the last 2 years, only missing 4 snaps. He doesn't get the credit he deserves nationally. Locally, I think we appreciate how much he does. And the fact that he's going to be in the meetings with the guys, and we're going to try to get him on the show
Absolutely.
At some point.
Contributor here to Cards
Is
Cover
that right?
Too.
I don't know if that was part of the contract.
I threw it out there on Twitter.
Did he respond?
I got a like. He liked it.
Okay.
That's all that matters right now. But again, because of his age, he turned 32 in May, and you're coming off a major injury. There was some question about not only his future with the Cardinals, but just his future in general. But good to see the Cardinals, and again, as you heard Coach Wilkes say, do the right thing. Cardinals have done this before. Let's flash back a couple of years ago, 2016. Jerron Brown suffered a season-ending ACL injury, and that was in November midseason. A month later, he was given a contract extension, and he too, like Shipley, was headed towards free agency.
Yeah, and again, you want to take care of guys that obviously put the work in. You're not going to reward someone that maybe is not part of your future, but clearly when they decide to extend those guys, they ID some of those guys as part of the core moving forward. And now, of course, Jerron Brown was able to parlay that, staying healthy all year. Now he plays for the Seattle Seahawks. The fact is that Shipley will get a chance. I mean, we're curious to see what the roster looks like at the offensive line next year. Hopefully all these guys can stay healthy. They can make some plays and open it up for David Johnson and Edmonds and protect Bradford, because right now, you're always curious about the depth on this roster. At least I am. And there's some areas where I do anticipate they'll be active as we get closer to the first cut down.
So some good news for Shipley, and I'm sure it took a little bit something off of his mind as well, wondering what's going to happen next to me in 2019. That question has been answered. Of course, with Shipley out, the door became opened for Mason Cole to step in and be the starting center. Earlier today here in studio, I had a chance to catch up with the Cardinals rookie center, Mason Cole. Well, a couple of weeks into preseason, you got game number 3 coming up on Sunday. Just big picture it. How are things going here now that we've ended training camp and moved into preseason?
Yeah, it's been really good. The first 2 games have been great. A lot of learning experiences and whatnot. And then breaking camp and getting in here and really getting into our weekly schedule and kind of getting a feel for it and getting a rhythm for our schedule. So it's all been really good.
Now, those first 2 games, I know you weren't on the field very long against the Chargers, but that first series, it was run, and then David Johnson, and then Chase Edmonds. Just talk to me as an offensive lineman about blocking specifically for those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's kind of our philosophy as an offense is run first and establish our physicality with our run game. And so the first 2 games, honestly, we wanted to come out and show that. And the first game we did a great job at it and blocking for those 2 backs. David's obviously David. He's tremendous. And then Chase has been really good so far. I think we got a good rookie class with all of us, and he's been really, really good.
Now, when it comes to running the football, is it more of just a mental thing? Because obviously football is physicality, but is it more just lining up and saying, we got to beat the guy in front of me?
Yeah, I mean that's it. The mental part of it is when the team knows you're going to run the ball and you still run the ball and are successful, and that's kind of our goal.
And Wilkes has maintained him being a former defensive coordinator. It's demoralizing when a team can just line up and run the football, and that seems like the mentality. Let me ask you this: how we know that Mike Iupati's getting to the second layer. He's graded out over the 90s in the last 2 games. I noticed that you guys used a silent count last week, and Pugh may help you a little bit there. But how beneficial is it to have those veteran guys next to you?
It's huge. First of all, mentally it's huge, because they know so much about the game. They've seen so much, so they just know what they're doing and can help me out mentally, but and also physically. Having those guys helping you out on blocks, you can't ask for much better guys than that.
I want to go back to a couple of the specific running plays that we've seen so far in the preseason. One, I need you to set the record straight. The Chase Edmonds on 4th down against the Chargers, he body surfed you, or did I see something else that might have happened?
Yeah, I think I gave him a little shove in. I tried to tell him that. He didn't believe it. He didn't believe it.
So you get the assist? Is that an
I'd like to think so.
assist or an NHL?
I think it's
assist?
an NHL. I think it was at 1 point.
Yeah, you're right. You can get a point there. Right. All right. Now on the against the Saints, it was the touchdown pass, Josh Rosen to Christian Kirk, and I don't know if it registered with you, but that is the 1st-round pick, the 2nd-round pick, and 3rd-round pick, all touching the ball on that specific play.
Yeah, like I said, our rookie class has been really good. I think we all fit in here with this staff, with this team, with the guys in the locker room, and to see Josh be successful and Christian catch the ball and me be out there. Was Chase on the field at this time too? I don't know if Chase was out there.
He might have been on the drive. I don't know if on that specific play.
But still, just seeing all the young guys and all the rookies in our class contributing on offense and defense, it's been really good.
Some coaches, say rookies kind of turn the corner at Thanksgiving. We know it's a long season, 20 games, unless you guys can get into postseason, and we're all obviously rooting for that. But it's interesting when a class comes in, how close you guys become, because the veterans leave after the mandatory minicamp. You guys are still around for a couple more weeks. I mean, do you find that you guys are attached for life now, being in that same rookie class?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, when we first all got here, we're all going through the same thing together.
Sure.
It's all overwhelming for us together in a new city together, except for Christian. But it's still a new
environment.
A new building, new environment.
Now, is he showing you around town at least?
No,
since he's the local kid.
He's recommended some food spots for me.
But that's it, just recommendations. Okay.
Yeah. We all, me, Christian, and Josh kind of live. Christian and Josh live right next to each other, and I live in the same area. But he's recommended some food places and whatnot. But no, it's been really good with the whole rookie class. And I think that when something like that, when you come together and all going through the same thing, I think that just brings everyone closer.
All right, Bradford and Rosen. We know how accurate both of those guys are. They get rid of the ball. They're able to make decisions. What's it like knowing that you don't have to block for 5 to 6, 7 seconds, where Bradford and Rosen are going to get rid of the football quickly?
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, especially at this level. I mean, those guys across the ball rushing are different animals, and to know those guys back there are going to get the ball out of their hands and get completions too is huge.
Mason Cole joining us here on Cards Cover 2 as the Cardinals get ready for preseason game number 3 coming up on Sunday in Dallas. You talked about the veterans along that offensive line. One veteran that's not on the line, but news today that A.Q. Shipley not only going to be around the team this year, but signed for next season. Even though he's on the shelf right now, how is he helping you to man that center position?
Tremendously. I mean, he's so intelligent, knows the game inside and out, and to have him in our room and be around and just pick his brain about stuff about the game and stuff he did that I watch, it's been huge.
Mason Cole, our guest right here on Cards Cover 2. Mason, you start looking at it when you were drafted, and we know that the stat is 104 consecutive games, and you played at Michigan under Harbaugh. We know toughness and a pro-style offense. When you got the call that you were going to be the starter, I mean, clearly you've prepared for this moment, but what was it like just thinking, I'm going to be the starter in week 1 for the Arizona Cardinals?
It's obviously not how you want it to happen with what happened to AQ, but I mean, this is what you dream about as a kid.
Yeah.
Running out there in week 1 in the NFL and starting for the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Now, you mentioned to me earlier, that your parents are going to be at the game. I mean, are you looking forward to going to Dallas and playing against a good front four under Ron Marinelli?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, at this point right now in the preseason, the biggest thing for me is just getting reps. Getting reps against our defense. The guys we go against every day are great too, but getting those game reps against other defenses and mental reps when I'm not on the field, it's been huge. So as many reps as possible, and going against a great defensive front, which I think will be great for me.
Before we let you go, I do want to talk about the haircuts that were done ahead of the trip to New Orleans, and specifically, there were some great ones. I thought Corey Cunningham looked great with 7'9" shaved in the back of his head. I didn't see yours, but I heard about yours. So, true or not, Ohio State was shaved into your head?
I don't really want to talk about that. I'm just kidding. It was only there. I'm not proud of it.
It's like a scar.
Right. So Justin shaved that in my head Thursday after our walkthrough right before we got on the plane to go to New Orleans. And as soon as we got back from New Orleans, we got back at like 2:30 in the morning. First thing I did when I got home, before going to bed, I shaved my head. And I was like, I can't have this on my head any longer.
That's what Corey told me the other day. He's like, oh, no, once we were done, I was done as well.
Yep, absolutely. We had to wear it. We had to have it for the game, then we were done.
Will House will look like the Friar Tuck.
Yeah.
So out of all of you guys, was there someone that actually looked a little bit better than someone else?
I think Will House had a good haircut. It was pretty fitting for him. With the top shade, it looked good.
It was funny because I'm watching practice and Cunningham had his helmet off, and I'm like, this guy looks like he's 35 years old. He's bald.
Yeah.
And I told him that after. He goes, oh, no, this is going to be – I'm getting rid of this real quick. But it was the first time I noticed it, and I've been watching practice every day in training camp, and I'm like, this guy is a lot older than he looks.
Yeah, I made sure to either keep a towel on my head or a hat on or my helmet on at the game.
So there are no pictures? You have no record of this?
No, there's no proof. It's all theory right now. We don't even know.
All speculation, right? Reportedly.
Right.
Very, very well done.
Well, if you hear something over, now all of a sudden people buy into it. So it's perception now.
Right.
So now you just have to remember this moment right now. So next season, for the new crop of rookie offensive linemen, then you can figure things
That's
out.
what you just got to all let it happen now, because next year, you get your chance to do stuff like that.
Well, you're a good sport. Appreciate a couple of minutes here of your time. Again, good luck Sunday in Dallas, and congratulations on so far everything you've been doing.
Yep, thanks for having me.
The moral of that story, by the way, is to avoid Justin Pugh at all costs if he's got scissors or shears or whatever, but that entire offensive line of those rookies, including Mason Cole. We appreciate him joining us here on Cards Covered 2. Again, a Michigan man with Ohio State shaved in the side of his head.
I mean, he better make sure there's no pictures out there.
Yeah, that's or confiscate whatever evidence there is out there. But when you talk about
we have
Cole,
some pony ups for that kind of stuff.
This 2018 rookie draft class, and something Coach Wilkes talked about earlier in practice, and we all know about Josh Rosen and his preparation, asking a lot of questions, but Wilkes made sure to mention that Cole, Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, their preparation is outstanding, and they ask questions, they take notes, and you're seeing a group that aren't acting like rookies. And I'd say they all come from big-time programs, but Edmonds doesn't. It's a small school for him.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that normally when a guy shows up as a rookie, and I always think that the class, they're attached forever just because, you spend so much time with them, and you build friendships, and I'm sure that in the off season they're maybe go on a trip together. So from that standpoint, but to have rookies come in and contribute, and the fact that veterans are noticing the way these guys are practicing, that's very impressive, because usually they're like ducks. They just follow around, and if you do this, they dress like the players, they have backpacks like the players. You kind of figure out what it's like to be a pro, but in year 2, now you know what to expect. So this is pretty impressive thus far, that not only these guys going to contribute, but some are going to have bigger roles than they initially thought when they were drafted.
And one of those is Mason Cole.
Absolutely.
The other one that I think we anticipated having a bigger role in Christian Kirk, but he's the one player out of those that I think has maybe made tremendous strides as far as where we saw him in rookie minicamp to OTAs to minicamp to training camp and now into the preseason. I mean, just his catch alone from Rosen against the Saints. I think he is starting to move up and gain a lot of trust, not only from his teammates, but from the coaches as well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Rosen, he pump fake first, and then he threw the ball that really only one guy was going to catch. If you notice how he threw it, the defensive backs wouldn't have been able to get that ball, and he was able to come down to it in traffic. But the fact is that, when, like I said, Larry, you're going to hear from Larry, just some of the things that he sees him doing. He doesn't look like a rookie. Now, again, it's only one game. Obviously, teams are going vanilla when it comes to the game plan. And so when we get to week one, and I do think when you watch him, referring to Christian Kirk, when he gets off the line of scrimmage, watch how fast he is in his first 5 or 6 yards. I would love to see him, because we know Larry's going to play so much in the slot. Maybe we'll see him on the outside a little bit this year. But on some of those crossing routes, and that's where yards after catch are going to come in. And I think he's done a really good job getting off press coverage.
No question Kirk is going to have a role on special teams. How much of a role on offense? We'll wait and see on that. MJ, you mentioned Larry Fitzgerald. He was asked about Kirk, someone he's known for a long, long time, about Kirk's preparation.
That's one of the first things you notice about him is attention to detail. Man, you ask Christian to play Y, you ask him to play Z, you ask him to play F, whatever you ask him to do, he's going to know it, and he's going to be able to do it and execute it at full speed. I mean, he's very quiet in terms of his demeanor, doesn't say much, but he's listening all the time to what's going on. And, he takes coaching really well, doesn't ever take anything personal. And the most important thing that I love about him, he just works his ass off every day, man. He's just a tireless competitor every single rep, every single route, every single competition drill, special teams, no matter what it is. He's giving you everything he's got, and that's going to pay off for him, in the long run.
High praise for the local kid, Scottsdale Saguaro High School, Christian Kirk, who went on to Texas A&M. Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki here on Cards Covered 2. We're with you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 p.m., talking all things Cardinals, regular season, and the offseason. Of course, you can watch live on azcardinals.com/live video. Also find us on YouTube. Just search Cards Covered 2. Of course, if you miss a show, you can download it as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and TuneIn. Now, typically on Thursdays, as we heard from Larry Fitzgerald, he meets the media on Thursday. He's been doing it, for a number of years. We all anticipate Fitz on Thursday. Well, he was taking a little bit longer on Thursday, so someone else stepped in, sat down in Fitz's chair. Well, that would be second-year wide receiver Chad Williams filling in.
What was it like, Larry, back in your rookie year, 2004? What was that all about? Take us back to your rookie year.
My rookie year, man, I came in and, I've been the guy all my life since Little League football, anything, man. And I went to Pitt, stayed there 2 years because I was so, I'm Larry Fitzgerald, man. I'm Mr. One Hand. Any more questions?
Have you ever dropped a pass?
Have I ever dropped a pass? I don't know what a drop is. I don't even watch my drops on film. If I drop a ball, but other guys keep up with those things. I just catch everything come my way.
Who is better looking, Larry Fitzgerald or Chad Williams?
Chad's a very great looking guy. I have to give it to Chad. He's a ladies' man.
What's it like being Larry Fitzgerald?
Oh man, being Larry, it's a tough task, but I'm a real humble guy, and I get along with a lot of dudes, man. These guys in the locker room, man, I feel like they're my brothers. But being Larry Fitzgerald, man, everything I touch, I can't drink a cup of water without it not sticking to my hand. Sometimes my hand gets stuck to my door latch on my car. It's just real sticky.
So you're not hard on the rookies, like, the young guys like Chad and Christian Kirk? You're not hard on those guys?
Nah. I'm not hard on the young guys, man. We're just trying to bring those guys along, By me being the savvy vet that I am, I instill a lot of wisdom in those guys that's going to help them further their careers.
What can they learn the most from you think, Larry?
Just my details and my preparation. It's top-notch, it's the best in the game.
I hear you're pretty old. Did you used to fold up your helmet and put it in the back pocket with the leather helmets?
Hell no, I've been wearing the same helmet since Pee Wee football. I'm just playing.
And that was not Larry Fitzgerald.
I can't drink a cup of water without it not sticking to my hand. That was very, very solid. Now, Fitz did have a response on Twitter. Among other things, he mentioned, You used I or me 22 times, which I would never do in an interview. Tighten up, youngin'. And that's true. Fitz never refers to himself. Doesn't like talking about himself. So that was the one thing. If Chad Williams wants to redo or refine that impersonation to better language as far as the I and the me. But I'll say this about that and what it told me, that he had the, I don't know if it's confidence, but he would not have done that last season.
No.
As a rookie.
Yeah.
And he wasn't playing well, or if at all. But him sitting in that chair on Thursday shows me a couple things. One, he's feeling good. He's confident. He just feels better about himself and where he's playing and where his game is at right now. Because, guys, I mean, your wide receiver room, yeah, Fitz is fine with it and everything. Everyone jokes around. But you have to be in a certain mindset to be able to do that. And, again, Chad Williams as a rookie, Chad Williams as a second-year player, night and day.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to stack back-to-back good practices. You got to do it over a period of time. Now, again, he's definitely made strides, but I need to see it more on a consistent basis. And listen, you're learning from a Hall of Famer. So, like you said, Larry's not going to talk about himself. He leads by example. The way he dresses, the way he goes about his business. I mean, people don't realize, but he stays after practice to have somebody throw the fade route to him. And hopefully that's the play we're going to see this year. The last couple of years it's been John Brown and some other guys. You got some tall receivers, Butler, Fitz, Ricky Seals-Jones as a tight end. So, I mean, Larry works at his craft. It's a grind. And mentally and physically, he knows what's coming up here starting in week 1. So there's no better guy to learn from. And just emulate. If you're going to emulate this 50% of what he does, you're going to be a better player in the long run.
Good to see the guys having fun in the locker room. Cards Cover 2 here on a Friday. Get your questions, your comments via social media using the hashtag CardsCover2. That's Cards Cover 2 using the number 2. We'll get into those a little bit later on in the show. Also still to come, the Big Red Vault. But also on Thursdays apparently is now a big day. It's been a big day for the Cardinals after practice. You hear from the coordinators. You hear from Larry Fitzgerald. Thursday is also the day you hear from Patrick Peterson. And it was some interesting comments before we heard from Pete twice, and that was defensive coordinator Al Holcomb. He's been asked about this. Peterson's been asked about this. What is 21's role going to be? And Al Holcomb, during the course of that, did mention that he expects Peterson to play on one side of the field. That was a direct quote, not to follow or shadow. That's a little bit different. But when Peterson was asked about it, because he's kind of said he expects his role to be a little bit different, he said, yeah, it will be different, but not too much different.
No, it's not all that different. The only thing you'll see what will be a glaring change is me playing off the receiver a little bit more, playing with my eyes a little bit more, give me a better opportunity to see the ball thrown and breaking on it and being able to make a play. But we're still going to get after the quarterback. We're still going to be aggressive. We're still going to send heat at the quarterback, rely on our back seven to make plays and force the quarterback, throw the ball high, put some air on the ball, tips and overthrows. And that's why we've been able to make so many interceptions and plays on the ball over the last 2 games because, we don't have 2 guys with eyes on the quarterback. We have 7 to 8 guys with eyes on the quarterback now. I believe the tackling has been kind of iffy, but I believe by the time week 1 come around, I believe we'll be ready to roll. Like last week, Drew Brees didn't play. That didn't stop us. We wanted to still go out there and execute our game plan because at the end of the day, that's all we can worry about is ourselves. We can care less who they put on the field. We want to go out there and put our best foot forward. I love this defense. It gives us the opportunity to play fast, not think as much, just line up to play football and get after the quarterback.
Peterson on his role in the defense in general, and yeah, the tackling iffy, and I'm sure the coaches would use a different word when referring to the tackling because it has been an issue, especially the run defense, and that is something that needs to change this week in Dallas when the Cardinals play the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, and Wilkes wants his cornerbacks to tackle, called it a trademark of his style, so it's not just the front 7, that back end, you better wrap up guys and make sure they do not get behind you as far as missing tackles.
Yeah, and it gives the Cardinals advantage when David Johnson's doing that because, let's be honest, those DBs do not want to tackle a guy like David Johnson. Here, it's part of the job description. I mean, it's right up there top of the list. Besides covering receiver, you better make sure you can tackle. And we've seen some missed tackles in the open field. That leads to more and better field position for the opponent. Eventually, it can get them in the red zone. So that has to be a point of emphasis. Win at the point of attack, but make sure you're in gap discipline. Do your job. Let the other guy come in and scrape up, but you have to be able to tackle in the open field.
And with Peterson having a little bit different of a role, we saw a couple of times in training camp, blitzing. You don't see 21 blitz from the corner. Perhaps we see that in the regular season because he wants to be more involved. He gets bored, tired if they're not throwing his way. He wants more than just the one interception he had last season. He wants the Pro Bowl recognition, the All-Pro recognition. Stats say one thing, how great he is, but it makes you feel better as a person when you get that recognition from not just your peers, but the people that cover you, and you can have it on your resume.
Well, more targets mean more opportunities. And I talked to Patrick yesterday, and he's made the Pro Bowl every single year he's been in the league. He said he wants to play maybe till 13 or 14 years. And then I asked him, I said, do you want to go the route of Charles Woodson and Rod Woodson playing safety? He said, no, that's not my mindset. As long as I'm still able to keep up with receivers and I still have my speed, I want to play corner. And I'm thinking to myself, you played 13 and 14 years. I mean, this guy's going to the Pro Bowl every single year. Now maybe he gets 31, 32, he doesn't. But he's going to have double-digit Pro Bowls. And you can't, Champ Bailey, Darrelle Revis, some other corners out there. I mean, you're talking about elite company if you get to double digits when it comes to Pro Bowls. Now, obviously, he wants to win in the postseason because that's where you really make your mark.
7-time Pro Bowler the last 6 years as a cornerback, and you heard him talk about missing Drew Brees. Well, the Cardinals are also going to miss this Sunday Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. The Cowboys are holding out a lot of players, and this, as we started the show with about the dress rehearsal of preseason, that is game number 3, and more teams are not playing that third preseason game as if it is the regular season.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a trend. It's something we're going to have to pay attention to next year. Like, for example, Tom Brady last week. I mean, he threw the ball 27 times.
Yes.
I mean,
Bill Belichick is the one coach that believes you get better playing football.
He always says
by playing football.
The only way you're going to play and get better is by going through the process and the reps. Now, maybe this is a bad example, but when he was facing that 4-game suspension, he played the entire game in the 4th preseason game. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But, I think they just want to make sure he had some timing, knock the rust off. Obviously, he played at an MVP level that year, coming off the 4-game suspension. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. We didn't see Phillip Rivers. We didn't see Drew Brees. We're not going to see Dak Prescott. And we probably won't see Case Keenum on Thursday in Glendale. We're probably going to see Chad Kelly, if not Paxton Lynch. So they won't face. But, again, you can't control that. You got to win at the line of scrimmage. And, listen, this is going to be a really good test for the Cardinals' offensive line against Dallas's defensive line. Ron Marinelli, he's done a really good job over the years. So you start looking at their front four. You got Tyron Crawford, Dante Jones, Antoine Woods, DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay, DeMarcus Lawrence is probably in the same category as Chandler Jones. And then Randy Gregory looks like he may put his hand in the dirt this year. And then Sean Lee, he's kind of like Luke Kuechly. He can call plays out before they're happening. I don't know if the Cardinals have a game plan for this based on winning matchups one-on-one, and then you can hopefully open some holes. So this will be a really good test, even though they haven't faced a number 1 quarterback. And I guess the next time we see that will be Alex Smith in week 1.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, at least from the Cardinals' perspective, even for fans as well. Coach Wilkes earlier today talking about the third preseason and perhaps maybe a new trend in the NFL that this third preseason game doesn't mean as much.
I think it's really based off each team. When you look at myself, being a first-year head coach, first-year staff, players still trying to get to know the coaches, that kind of thing, I think you have to stick to what I consider the normal routine. You get some teams, as the Cowboys have already stated, that Dak is not playing, Elliott's not playing, so those guys have been playing, together for a while now, so that's different. But we feel like we still got to get our timing down. We still got to be able to communicate and play with one another. So that's important to me right now.
And I think that's an important distinction to make, that you have a new head coach, a new coaching staff. Now, I haven't looked at what the other new first-year head coaches are doing, but they need to get familiar with their personnel, and you can only do so much in the classroom and on the practice field.
Yeah, and to me, he hit it right on the head. New coach, new quarterbacks, new system. And this is the first time as a head coach he's going to be involved in a third preseason game, and we know that previous years That's when the starters play the most. They call it a dress rehearsal because they want you to come out in the third quarter, but that really doesn't happen. So for the most part, Wilkes is doing the right thing. Next year it could change a little bit, though.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see. Your fan questions just ahead, but once again, time to open up the Big Red Vault. Earlier this week, we went back to that playoff matchup of 1998 between the Cardinals and Cowboys. This year, a little bit more, I should say today, a little bit more recent of a matchup. How about we go back to 2008, the Cowboys visiting the Cardinals at University of Phoenix Stadium.
In 2008, the 4-1 Cowboys visited the 3-2 Cardinals at University of Phoenix Stadium.
Anytime the Dallas Cowboys are in town, it gets your blood flowing.
Things could not have started any better for the Big Red.
Taken to the 8 by Arrington. Runs right to the 10, now to the left of the 20. Far side 30 at the 35-40. Cut it back near side. At midfield, Arrington at the 40. At the 30. Go JJ, go! 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Take that, Cowboys!
The Cardinals defense would play a solid first half. However, just after the 2-minute warning, the Cowboys found the end zone.
5-step drop, looks over the middle. Creighton wide open at the 40. At the 30, far side 20, 10, 5, touchdown. What happened there?
Patrick Creighton's 55-yard touchdown tied the game at 7 going into halftime. In the second half, the Cowboys picked up where they left off.
Snap to Romo with time, fires left side, end zone, caught. Touchdown, Dallas. It's Austin, and the Cowboys lead.
With Dallas up 14-7, the Cardinals would fight back.
It's caught left side, Hightower at the 40, 45, and close to the first down. Warner takes, short set, looks right, lobs, Fitzgerald, got it, touchdown!
Right now, Kurt Warner could throw a Twinkie into a toaster. I mean, this guy is on fire.
Larry Fitzgerald's touchdown capped an 11-play, 60-yard drive and tied the score at 14. Early in the fourth quarter, the Cardinals' offense would continue to flourish.
Warner, gonna pass. Deep set, steps up, going deep, near side for Fitzgerald. It's underthrown. Fitz caught it anyway.
The vertical game of Larry Fitzgerald is just unbelievably sick.
Kurt Warner would find Steve Preston to give the Cardinals the lead.
Caught, touchdown, Steve Preston, and the Cardinals lead it here in the fourth quarter.
As my old coach used to say, it wasn't pretty, but you did have a date.
The Cardinals held a 24-14 lead in the fourth quarter, but with just 2:17 left to play, Marion Barber would keep the Cowboys' hopes alive.
Barber on the catch, breaks a tackle, 35, 40, 50, far side 40, at the 30, another broken tackle. Barber at the 20, at the 10, cuts it back near side 5. Barber, touchdown. 70-yard touchdown pass. And this game far from being over.
Following a Cardinals 3-and-out, the Cowboys moved into field goal range, and kicker Nick Folk sent the game into overtime.
Snap, ball down. Kick is up. Does it have the leg? It does have the leg, and it is good. We're tied at 24 and going to overtime.
In OT, the Cowboys won the toss, giving the Cardinals defense a chance to rise to the occasion.
Romo takes, play fake, deep in the pocket. Now he's flushed out left. He lost the ball, and then he recovered it at the 13. Chike O'Keefer punched it free from behind, and it bounced right to Romo.
I can't believe it.
Dallas was forced into a punting situation, and the Cardinals responded in a big way.
Here they come! Cardinals blocked it! It's picked up! It's a touchdown! Cardinals win! Monty Bizo with the touchdown! Sean Morey with the block! How about them Cardinals?
No way!
30-24 on a block punt!
No way!
Ken Wisenhunt and his Arizona Cardinals improved to 4-2 on the season by way of their thrilling 30-24 overtime win.
And, of course, finished 9-7 that season and advanced to the Super Bowl. So good things happening in 2008. A good flashback by the Cardinals broadcasting department and the voice of our producer, Jim Alejandro.
Yeah, and you remember the Falcons were 11-5. Cardinals won the division. They were hosting at 9-7. They beat the Falcons. They go to Carolina. Carolina was 12-4. They forced 6 turnovers with Jake Delhomme. I don't think he's recovered since. And then the Eagles knock off the Giants, and the Cardinals are hosting the NFC Championship game at University of Phoenix Stadium. And you're like, how is this happening?
Yeah, that entire season was something you'll never forget where you were on certain points of your life, and one of those was the NFC Championship game.
I was standing on the sidelines at the end of the game, and there were literally grown men crying. And shocked the world. Remember
Absolutely.
Warner and B Train with Mr. B, and they were holding the trophy up. I mean, I'm going in that locker room. It was just it was crazy. And then obviously they had the pep rally before they flew down to Tampa. No, it was a great year. I mean, you go back to that New England game in the snow. It got sideways. They practiced in the rain against the Seahawks that week. But the fact is, 9-7. And I'll always remember the guy that's doing the game come Sunday night, Chris Collinsworth, the worst playoff team ever.
Cards Cover 2 continues as Brandon Natus, the Cardinals manager of social media, joins us here on this Friday edition. And, of course, we've been promoting it all week long. Hashtag Cards Cover 2, questions via social media. What do you got for us?
Well, first, I remember where I was. I was in college, so
yeah. You want to come back on this show? Don't make us feel old.
Yeah.
Congrats on the show, guys.
Thank you.
Great chemistry. You're already matching. First question here from Twitter. Big fan of the show already. Espo wants to know favorite part of covering the team, going back to the flashback that you had from the previous show from 1998. For both of you, what has been your favorite part so far of covering this team? Been around it a while.
I'll go back to 2008, just being on the field of the NFC Championship game and just everything lining up according to form that the Cardinals were able to host that game, advance to Tampa Bay, and go to the Super Bowl. That's the NFC Championship game is a highlight for me with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, grown men were crying in the NFC Championship game, but the Super Bowl was Heartbreak Hotel. I mean, I thought they were conservative in the first half, and then obviously the James Harrison play where Q and Anquan Bolden and Larry lined up too close together. Harrison said he was never going to drop back into coverage. He kind of read the route. And then in the second half, they started to open up the offense a little bit. And Larry scores that touchdown. He's watching himself on the Jumbotron, and a lot of people didn't think he had that kind of speed. But, adrenaline and just so many chasing, you're going to run a lot faster. And just to sow the disappointment, they reviewed the play. Roethlisberger threw that same ball to Holmes on the left side, and he came back on the right side. And the Cardinals, Ralph Brown, Aaron Francisco, Darnell Dockett had him in the grasp, but they didn't call it. And then just going in the locker room, and I talked to players in the locker room, and they're like, we're not blaming the officials. It's gonna take away the run that we made. So it was just Heartbreak Hotel, and going back to the hotel, and there was a party scheduled, and they canceled that. It was just a surreal moment, thinking they finally got here, and they're 2 minutes away, a minute and 40-something seconds away from winning the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, very. It seems like you guys have similar.
It was just a great moment. It was surreal.
Yeah, it was a great story. And so we get now to our Instagram questions. We'll have the rest of them from. Coach often talks about win your division. How is this team preparing to face their division rivals? And that question comes from Connor White.
Yeah, we talked about you have 6 games in the division, 3 at home, 3 on the road. If they can go 4-2. Now they got to face the Rams in week 2. The Rams have a good roster. We'll see if Darnold's out there. It's going to be hot and humid. That's why they're practicing outside. If they get worst case scenario, they got to go 3-3 in the division. But you like to go 4-2, maybe split with the Seahawks and the Rams, and possibly sweep the Niners. I know there's a lot of hype about Garoppolo, and rightfully so. So I would sign up right now for 3-3. But if I want to get greedy, I'm going 4-2.
You got to protect home field. To give yourself a chance, you have to protect those home games.
And then maybe sneak one out on the road somewhere. It's your boy Jose. Talked earlier about Patrick Peterson. He wants to know, will he get Defensive Player of the Year?
No.
It's tough unless you get like.
I mean,
it's hard.
I'm sorry. It's just you can't unless you get the ball thrown at you week in and week out, and he has like 10 or 12 interceptions, and that's just not going to happen.
If he has 8 and a couple come in December to prevail a victory, but usually it goes to guys that rush the passer. Like Chandler Jones was definitely in consideration. Now Calais obviously did a great job. Bobby Wagner out there. So I think it's more of a front 7 position, but if you're able to get 8 or 9 interceptions, a couple pick sixes, then you're in that conversation. But he's got to get targeted more for more opportunities.
And now, do you guys see that happening this year? Do you think he'll get targeted more now with this new scheme?
Put it this way,
based on what we're hearing, ultimately we can debate who the number 1 wide receiver is in with the Redskins and obviously the Rams. So I like the fact that they're considering moving him around. And he could come off the edge and blitz a little bit because we know he's got the speed to do that. So I'm curious to see how this pans out. But ultimately, you want to take the number 1 receiver out of the game.
Now, we talked about the Cardinals going against their own division, playing the NFC North this year. How do you think they'll fare? And that question's from Gills 602.
Well, the NFC North, they really only have one game this year against them, and that's against the Falcons, and that's a road game. So that could be an issue. They're playing the South Division, so we'll see how it pans out. But for the most part, though, like he said, you can. I don't want to lose any games, but you can try to win your conference games because when it comes to tiebreakers, that's where it's really you can make your money. So last year, that division put 3 teams in the playoffs. I think all 3 can win it this year: Falcons, Panthers, or Saints. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup when they go to Atlanta.
What else you got, Brandon?
Okay. Meza wants to know, do you think Chandler Jones gets more sacks this year in the 4-3?
He always says, how do I improve? I got to get better than last year. It's going to be hard to get 17, but I think he'll have more opportunity because he's going straight ahead. He's not dropping back, if at all. The hand in the dirt, something he's used to when he played in New England. So I think there'll be more opportunity. Now, whether he finally finishes it off and puts the quarterback down on the ground, that's a different story.
Yeah, if he gets 12 to 15 sacks, tackle for losses, hurries, pressures, and knockdowns, I'm a big fan of it. I think sacks can be a little overrated, but obviously you got to disrupt the quarterback. But the hurries, pressures, and knockdowns, they lead to turnovers. Quarterback has to get rid of the ball. You can get a forced fumble. So I think if he could just fill up the stat sheet, but he's going to be a marked man. They're going to use an extra lineman or a tight end to block him. But if he can get up to 15 sacks and they can get Golden back at some point, they'll have a legitimate pass rush from the edge.
Awesome. And now we have 2 more left for you. So Paloma Belize wants to know, who has shown the most improvement since camp has started?
I'll go with someone we talked about earlier, and that's Christian Kirk. I think he's made tremendous strides from the wide receiver position, learning not only just his position but all 3 positions and trying to figure out what he can do to become an immediate contributor on offense. We know he's going to play special teams, but be a part of this offense. I would go with Christian Kirk.
I'll go with Chase Edmonds just because we know that David Johnson's going to be the bell cow, but you need a change of pace back. And I think, just example would be he was able to get it in the end zone and he didn't go down. His knee didn't go down. Second, third, and fourth effort. So Kirby Wilson told me when they drafted him, watch him the first day of training camp and watch the improvement. And I think he's definitely in the mix as a change of pace back, and we could see both backs in the backfield and one going out for a pass, and that's Mike McCoy's looking for that matchup.
Now, another player that's certainly made some plays in the preseason, made a name for himself in camp as well, Bené Benwikere. T. Mothy wants to know, do you see him making the team? What will his role be in playing on Sundays?
We talk about stacking performances, and now that's what Christian Kirk and Chad Williams need to do. Benwikere has done that through these first 2 preseason games. I'm not going to say he has a spot, but if you had to set your 53 here on this Friday, he's on the 53.
Yeah, I'll go a little bit further. He's made the team. The fact that he's familiar with Wilkes, you can never have enough depth at that position. I still think they'll address it. Right now, Brandon Williams is number 4. Chris Campbell, a 5th-round pick, is number 5. But Benwikere can play inside, outside, and he can also play safety. So he gives you positional flexibility, and we know that's the trend in the NFL. I think he's in, barring some kind of injury, and I think he provides great depth considering he played for Wilkes and Holcomb and has an idea what they want to do on defense.
Nice, guys. Well, thanks for having me on. That's it for the social questions today.
Appreciate it, Brandon. We'll do it again next
week.
He
took a shot at us that we both are wearing the same shirt.
I think he's just jealous that we were rocking the colorless black
for
shirts.
For the record, we did not call each other or text each other.
We don't communicate unless we're on the air.
Right. We don't even. We sit right next to each other in a cubicle, and we don't even talk to each other. He wears headphones, and I wear headphones.
Brandon, we appreciate it. Get those questions
You didn't get
in.
the memo, though.
I missed the memo.
Hashtag cards cover 2, using the number 2 to get those questions in. And Brandon does a great job with the Cardinals.
Great interaction.
Social media, Twitter, Instagram, every part of the
everything
Cardinals.
that's tweeted out from the Cardinals account. Brandon's in charge.
Yes,
He's like, thanks. Why are you telling me?
We're a team.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on Cards Cover 2, 3 p.m. Mark it down on your calendar. You can watch us live on azcardinals.com/live video. Also find us on YouTube. Search Cards Cover 2, and, of course, download it as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or TuneIn. Special thanks to those behind the scenes: Tim Delaney, Jim Omohundro, Devin Henry, Jeremy Schnell, plus Grant Greeley, Jonathan Hayward, and Jackson Sipes. For Brandon Natus, Mike Jurecki, I'm Craig Grialou. This has been Cards Cover 2. Enjoy your weekend. We're back on Monday.